Daniel Harris looked like the kind of father every neighborhood trusted. Laura Harris seemed like the heart of a warm and loving home. And their children, Emma and Noah, were the bright smiles of Willow Creek. But in a single night, the family everyone admired became the center of a chilling mystery that would expose debt, secrets, and one tiny detail that shattered the illusion of perfection forever. Willow Creek was the kind of street people moved to when they wanted safety and peace. Tall maple trees lined the sidewalks, and in the fall their leaves turned bright shades of red and gold. At the center of the block stood a white two-story house with blue shutters and a carefully trimmed lawn. A wooden swing hung from a large oak tree in the front yard. This was the home of the Harris family, and to everyone who passed by, it looked like a picture from a magazine. Daniel Harris was known as a hard-working financial advisor. He left for work every morning at the same time, dressed neatly and carrying a leather briefcase. He waved at neighbors and kept his yard in perfect condition. Laura Harris worked from home, running a small online bakery business. The sweet smell of fresh bread often drifted out of the kitchen windows. She posted photos of cakes and cookies on social media, along with smiling family pictures that gathered hundreds of likes. Their daughter Emma loved reading and won awards at school. Their younger son Noah played soccer and laughed loudly in the front yard. On weekends, the family rode bikes together or hosted small barbecues. Neighbors often said they were lucky to live next to such a kind and happy family. From the outside, everything seemed balanced and calm. The house was always clean. The lights glowed warmly at night. Their lives appeared steady and secure. No one on Willow Creek imagined that behind those blue shutters, quiet tensions were building, hidden beneath smiles and carefully posed photographs. The morning after the tragedy, Daniel Harris was found walking alone along a quiet stretch of highway 10 miles from Willow Creek. His clothes were wrinkled, and his face looked pale and tired. When officers approached him, he appeared disoriented and shaken. He explained that he had gone for a late-night drive to clear his mind after a stressful day. According to him, he returned home just after midnight and found the house silent and dark. What he described next painted him as a devastated husband who had stumbled upon an unimaginable nightmare. News of the crime spread quickly. By afternoon, reporters stood outside the Harris home, speaking in low voices as cameras captured the sealed front door and police tape fluttering in the wind. Friends and neighbors expressed shock. They described Daniel as gentle and devoted. Many believed he was another victim in a terrible act of violence. At first, investigators treated him that way. They searched for signs of forced entry, expecting to find a broken window or damaged lock. But everything appeared intact. The front door showed no scratches. The back entrance was secure. Even the garage door had been properly closed. Inside the house, nothing valuable seemed missing. Jewelry remained in its box. Electronics were untouched. The scene felt controlled, not chaotic. It did not resemble a robbery. Then technicians reviewed the home's security system. The alarm had been turned off at exactly 9:17 p.m. There were no failed attempts to enter the code. It had been done smoothly and correctly. Only two people knew that code, Daniel and Laura. What initially looked like a random attack began to feel personal. The sympathy surrounding Daniel slowly shifted into quiet suspicion as investigators started asking harder questions about where he truly was that night. As detectives dug deeper into the Harris family's private life, the image of stability began to weaken. Financial records revealed that Daniel's career was not as successful as it appeared. Behind his confident smile and pressed suits, he had been struggling. Several high-risk investments had failed over the past year. Clients had quietly withdrawn their money. Credit card balances were high, and there were personal loans taken from lenders outside traditional banks. The total debt was far greater than anyone in the neighborhood could have imagined. Bank statements showed large payments due within weeks of the murders. Some notices warned of legal action if the money was not returned. Daniel had managed to keep these problems hidden from friends and neighbors, but investigators could see the pressure building clearly in the numbers. Laura's finances told another story. Her small bakery business was slowly growing. Orders had increased, and positive reviews were rising online. She had recently updated her life insurance policy, increasing the payout significantly. The change had been made 3 months earlier, with Daniel listed as the sole beneficiary. On its own, the policy meant little, but combined with Daniel's debt, it created a troubling possibility. Forensic analysts then examined digital evidence. Laura's laptop history revealed searches related to divorce procedures and custody laws. She had visited the websites of 2 local attorneys. These searches were made late at night, over several days, suggesting careful thought rather than a quick emotional reaction. Meanwhile, phone data placed Daniel's device near the family home during the hours he claimed to be driving far away. The location's signal remained steady, contradicting his statement to police. Each discovery added weight to the suspicion. The perfect marriage displayed online began to look like a carefully arranged illusion, hiding financial strain, emotional distance. The investigation might have stalled if not for a small camera mounted above a neighbor's garage across the street. It was not meant to capture anything important, only to monitor parked cars and deliveries. But detectives collected the footage anyway, hoping for a glimpse of unusual movement on the night of the murders. The camera showed a clear view of the Harris driveway. At 9:32 p.m., Daniel's car slowly backed out and drove away. The timestamp was sharp and easy to read. That moment alone raised questions, since the home security system had been turned off at 9:17 p.m., just 15 minutes earlier. But the most important part came later in the recording. At 10:05 p.m., the same car returned. It pulled into the driveway with its headlights off. The vehicle remained parked for nearly 20 minutes before leaving again. At 10:27 p.m., Daniel had never mentioned coming back home after his late-night drive began. According to his statement, he did not return until close to midnight. This single piece of footage shifted the entire case. Investigators searched the house again, this time focusing on areas that could have been cleaned or altered. In the garage, they noticed a faint chemical smell. Inside a trash bin were paper towels and cleaning cloths soaked with strong disinfectant. Hidden beneath tools on a shelf was a small box containing latex gloves. Forensic tests found tiny traces of blood on the concrete floor, partially washed away but still detectable. The blood matched Laura. The theory of a random intruder no longer fit the evidence. The timeline was controlled. The movements were deliberate. The one detail that seemed minor at first, the exact timing of events, now exposed a carefully planned return to the house. The perfect image was breaking apart, replaced by something far more calculated and disturbing. As investigators tightened their focus on Daniel, they began examining every device inside the house. His laptop, tablet, and old backup hard drives were carefully analyzed. At first, nothing unusual appeared. Family photos filled the folders. Financial spreadsheets were neatly organized. Work emails were routine and polite. But forensic specialists recovered deleted files that told a different story. In the weeks before the murders, Daniel had searched for information about disabling home security systems without triggering alerts. He had looked up cleaning chemicals that removed biological traces. There were also searches about how long phone location data is stored by service providers. Each search on its own could be explained away. Together, they suggested preparation. The most disturbing discovery came from a small digital camera found in a drawer in his home office. It was an older device, rarely used in recent years. When technicians reviewed the memory card, they found normal family pictures at first, birthdays, holidays, school ceremonies. But mixed between those cheerful moments were strange images taken late at night. There were close-up photos of insurance documents laid out on the kitchen table. Pictures of the garage floor taken from different angles. Several photos showed Laura asleep, unaware she was being photographed. The dates on these images were recent. The pattern suggested careful observation, almost like someone studying a scene in advance. Financial pressure, a possible divorce, and a large insurance payout created a powerful motive. The digital evidence built a timeline that showed planning rather than panic. By the time Daniel was formally arrested, the case no longer relied on suspicion alone. The small details, the timestamps, the hidden searches, the silent photographs, formed a clear picture of intent. What once appeared to be a grieving husband now looked like someone who had been quietly preparing for a life without. The trial began almost a year after the murders, and the courtroom was filled every day. Reporters lined the benches, and members of the Willow Creek community sat quietly, hoping to understand how the family they once admired had fallen apart. Daniel entered the courtroom wearing a dark suit, his expression calm but distant. The image of the composed professional returned, but this time it felt carefully controlled rather than natural. Prosecutors presented the case step by step, building a clear timeline. They began with the security system log showing the alarm disabled at 9:17 p.m. Experts explained how the system required the correct code and how there had been no forced entry. Then they introduced the neighbor's camera footage, displaying the precise moments Daniel's car left and returned. The timestamps were enlarged on a large screen so the jury could see them clearly. Financial records were presented next. Charts showed mounting debt and approaching payment deadlines. The increased life insurance policy was highlighted, along with documents proving Daniel would receive the full payout. Digital forensic specialists described the deleted searches and recovered files from his devices. They explained how internet activity placed him researching crime scene cleanup just days before the murders. The defense argued there was no eyewitness and no direct video of the crime itself. They suggested the evidence was circumstantial and open to interpretation. They emphasized Daniel's clean record and lack of violent history. But the prosecution returned to the small details that connected everything: the timing, the preparation, the hidden photographs. Each piece reinforced the same conclusion. After weeks of testimony and careful review, the jury deliberated for 2 days. When they returned, the verdict was clear. Daniel Harris was found guilty on all counts, ending the illusion of the perfect family forever. After the verdict, Willow Creek slowly returned to its routine, but nothing felt quite the same. The Harris house remained empty for months. The lawn grew uneven, and fallen leaves collected along the driveway. Eventually, the property was sold to a new family who repainted the walls, replaced the carpets, and tried to erase any reminder of what had happened inside. From the outside, the house once again looked peaceful, but longtime residents could not pass by without remembering the flashing police lights that had filled the street that autumn night. Community events continued, yet conversations often paused when someone mentioned the Harris name. Neighbors admitted they had overlooked small warning signs. Some remembered seeing Daniel working late in the garage more often. Others recalled that Laura had seemed quieter in the weeks before her death. The children had still played outside, still laughed, still waved to passing cars. Nothing had seemed serious enough to raise alarm. Online discussions about the case continued long after the trial ended. Many people focused on the financial pressure Daniel faced, while others believed fear of divorce and losing his public image had pushed him toward a terrible decision. The idea that someone could maintain such a calm appearance while planning violence unsettled many who followed the story. The tragedy became a lesson often repeated in news segments and documentaries. Appearances, no matter how perfect, can hide deep struggles. Photographs can capture smiles without revealing truth. Success can mask fear. Stability can conceal collapse. Life on Willow Creek moved forward, but the memory remained. The Harris family had once symbolized safety and happiness. Now their stories served as a reminder that sometimes the most dangerous problems are the ones carefully hidden behind closed doors and polished family portraits. In the end, the case was not solved by a dramatic confession or a single shocking discovery. It was solved by something small and precise. A timestamp, a quiet digital record that could not be argued with or reshaped. At 9:17 p.m., the security system inside the Harris home was turned off using the correct code. That moment became the thread that investigators followed until the entire story unraveled. That simple entry in a logbook forced detectives to question everything else. It challenged the idea of a stranger breaking in. It exposed the false timeline Daniel had provided. It connected the financial stress, the life insurance policy, the deleted internet searches, and the neighbor's camera footage. Without that detail, the case might have remained uncertain, lost among theories and doubt. The tragedy of the Harris family left a lasting mark not only on Willow Creek, but on everyone who followed the story. It showed how carefully constructed appearances can hide growing pressure. The smiling photos, the clean yard, the cheerful online posts, all of it created a shield that kept suspicion away. Behind that shield, problems were quietly building. The most unsettling part was how ordinary everything had looked. There were no loud arguments heard through the walls. No obvious signs of danger. Just routine, structure, and a man who seemed dependable. In documentaries and reports that followed, experts often returned to that one overlooked element. Technology, they explained, remembers what people try to forget. Data does not panic. It does not lie. It simply records. The perfect family image had been built over years, but it collapsed because of a single, unchangeable detail. 9:17 p.m., a small moment in time that revealed the truth and changed everything forever.